Yo, what's good? I'm gonna be making an Angry Birds Epic classes tier list because I just redid the game and this is my opinion on the usefulness of each of the classes. Uh yeah. So starting off is Avenger at F tier. Avengers is F tier because although it has the potential to deal the most damage out of any class, it requires it to be considerably low on its health, which is something you definitely do not want later in the game. Its ability is also really middling. 20% isn't enough of a damage reduction to justify using it. Overall, it's a glass cannon really that dies way too easily, and it just isn't worth using at all, especially when you have to somehow get Avengers that low in the first place. It does fit well with the likes of Princess or Rogues. Moving on, let's go with the Knight. Knight at E tier. Listen, the first two classes you unlock in the game are stuck there. Red's Knight, and of course, Chuck's Mage. The Knight is the better of the two due to its solid damage and actual alright ability. Its ability cuts off most damage received, but it does only last 2 turns, so it's really only effective when paired with certain classes like again, Princess or Rogues. Mage is just completely outclassed by Thunderbird. It deals low damage and its ability just isn't justifiable enough to use it. Alright, moving into D tier with a lot of classes, starting off with Berserker. Berserker deals a lot of damage, but it requires the chili to be completely full, which is quite situational considering as soon as the chili is full you'd want to use it. Its ability is really bad. Why would you use an ability to deal very little damage to opponents while harming your own ally? Yeah, it's just not good. Next, it's Spies. Spies, they're stuck in a very awkward situation where their attack and support is just really, really average. Its damage isn't high enough and its healing is too little to justify actually using it. Next, I'm gonna go with Rogues. It's a worse druid, although they deal more damage over time. Its ability just doesn't sustain anyone, which is something you really want with an attacker that deals damage over time. Yet another bomb class. I'm gonna give it to Sea Dog. Yeah, listen. Although its damage seems decent at first, it deals less damage as Bomb loses HP, which literally ruins the entire premise and just makes the class not worth using at all. Its main gimmick is its ability, which is actually quite decent and can be used considerably, especially when focusing only on one target like cave bosses. Again, it's yet another bomb class, and that is Frost Savage. Frost Savage deals little damage, whose damage amplification requires the target to be either stunned or frozen, which is way too situational, especially when the damage boost it gets doesn't even justify it. Its support is also way too luck based, 25% is too low, but it can be used if need be, as it lasts a considerably long time in 3 turns. Alright, moving on to C tier, and I'm actually going to place Cannoneer here. Cannoneer, its damage isn't too great, but it does attack thrice, which has great synergy with certain classes like Marksman, and can bypass certain dodge enemies. It also lowers the attack power of enemies by 20%. Although a 20% damage reduction doesn't seem like enough, it can eventually add up over time. Its ability is quite solid, pairing well with Avengers, Rogues, or Princess, allowing its allies to attack yet again. Up next, I'm gonna say the Witch. The Witch is an underrated class. A lot of people really hate on it. It's just, there's no reason for you to use Witch when there's so many better classes out there. The only reason you really want to use Matilda is for healing, and Witch just does not do well in that at all. Okay, Matilda in Witch is a damage dealer, but when you use Matilda you don't want a damage dealer, and it's more important considerably when Matilda has the most classes that heal, and there aren't really a lot of other classes outside of Matilda that are good for healing. So yeah, it's stuck in C tier. Moving on, I'm gonna give it to the princess. The princess deals good damage, and its support is its main thing, which cleanses a target of its negative effects and healing them a considerable amount. However, its attack effect makes all enemies target the bird with the highest health, which although fits well with certain classes, is not something you want to do always, especially when attacking is actually quite prevalent for Matilda, even if its main role is to heal others. Next we get our first class since the mage, and that is Lightning Bird. Lightning Bird's damage output is quite literally negligible, but its effect and support are what make it justifiable to use. It has a solid 65% chance to cleanse positive effects from all targets, which is actually really good. Its support is nothing to sneer at either, allowing the target ally to attack a random opponent, which is used a considerable amount of time considering Lightning Bird deals basically no damage. Yet another Chuck class is up next, and that is Thunderbird. Thunderbird is quite literally mage, but better in every aspect. It deals damage to all enemies, but its main kicker is the target selected receives 25% more damage from all attacks, which is even greater when facing a single enemy like a cave boss. Moreover, its support, which applies to all allies and lasts 3 turns, allows for basically all incoming attacks to deal some damage back. The final class of C tier is yet another class, and this is yet another mage class, and it is Wizard. Wizard does solid damage, which attacks 4 targets in total, which is most of the time all opposing enemies. Its support is a bit situational, but it fills up the Rage Chili faster and has the added bonus of a 20% chance to stun the attacker. Basically, it's just a worse version of the Frost Savage's support. Finally, we get into the juicy stuff, the classes that are barely above average, and that is the B tier. Firstly, it is the Shulkers. Listen, the Shulkers is basically everything Thunderbird wishes it was. Although its damage output isn't high, the target selected receives 30% more damage from all attacks, which is a great synergy with its support, allowing its allies to attack more. But the main reason this class is so high is exactly what the support does. The target ally selected will deal a significantly less amount of damage than it would usually do to a random target. However, the harmful side effect of this attack is applied onto every enemy. That is absolutely crazy. Imagine applying Rogue's damage over time on every opponent. More importantly, it can use its support on itself to allow all enemies to receive 30% more damage, making Shulkers a really solid option. Moving on, I'm gonna give it to Cleric. Cleric, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated classes in the game. It's slept on because it's the base class Matilda gets when you unlock her, and despite that, it's really good. When attacking, Matilda will heal all allies by a quarter of the damage dealt. Its support is also decent, essentially a 50% damage reduction on all allies, but it's important that all allies will heal incoming damage, meaning when one ally is attacked, all allies are healed, meaning it works differently to a shield that Red would usually apply. Moving on, it's Paladin. Paladin is a solid class that deals high damage and heals the bird with the least health by 40% of damage dealt. This really adds up and makes Paladin a good threat offensively and defensively. Its support just means Red receives damage instead of the selected ally, allowing it to bolster others' longevity. Moving on to another Matilda class, I'm gonna give it to Bard. Bard deals the most damage in the game, has the added effect of a 50% chance to stun the target. Furthermore, its support allows all birds to heal passively every turn, allowing Bard to focus on dishing out damage whilst also healing at the same time. Moving on, it's a class that basically nobody uses. It's Stoneguard, and Stoneguard is one of those more forgettable classes. It attacks twice, so it can bypass enemies that dodge, so it does deal good damage. It also deals 2.5 times more damage if the target is suffering from negative effects, meaning it works really well with Shulkers. Its ability is just way too niche, however, meaning its sole focus is just to deal damage most of the time. We're about to wrap up with all the bomb classes. There's only 2 left, but I think I'm gonna give it to Captain first. Its damage output is average, but it removes helpful effects from its target, and its support is actually quite good. Like Berserker, it deals damage to an ally, but its effect it applies is way better. The target ally will deal 60% more damage for 3 turns. That is really good. The final class of the B tier is obviously Bomb's base class, Pirate. Pirate, its damage output is average, but its main kicker is its support, allowing all allies to deal 25% more damage for a considerably long time in 3 turns. Alright, the penultimate tier, the A tier, starts off with the Priestess. The Priestess is one of, if not the best Matilda class in the game. It attacks twice, but its damage output is considerably high regardless. The added on effect is that any bird that attacks the target will heal by 10% of their health per attack, making it pair well with multi-hit classes like Samurai or Cannoneer. This is absolutely great, and it pairs well with its ability, looking up birds to have shared healing, basically allowing all of its allies to maintain a relatively high amount of HP. You literally cannot go wrong with Priestess. The next A tier class is yet another base class, and this time it's one of the blues. I'm gonna give it to the Tricksters. The Tricksters removes. Yeah, I am gonna give it to the Tricksters. It removes positive effects from the target. It attacks while dealing okay damage, making it a better version of the Captain's attack. However, its main gimmick is its support, which removes negative effects from all allies, whilst also boosting their attack output by 15%. This is really good, and honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, the majority of Blues classes are actually really good, except for Rogues and Spies. Moving on, I'm gonna say it's the Illusionist. The Illusionist is... It deals okay damage, but 35% of damage dealt to the target is dealt to all enemies after. That's actually, that's actually really good for clearing out hordes of enemies. It's actually paired well with its support, which allows an ally to attack twice, dealing basically 1.5 times their damage output. Next, I'm gonna give it to another Bruce class. It's gonna be the Marksman. The Marksmen attack twice, they deal okay damage, but its effect is like the Illusionist, except it's just for one target, meaning it's really good at killing single enemies like bosses. Their ability is a bit weird, but it does kind of work out. It allows Blues to dish out more damage while an ally takes damage for them. And the final Matilda class is left. I think everyone knew. I'm gonna give it to the Druid. The Druid deals less damage over time than the Rogues, but its ability is what far separates the two. It heals the target ally by a good amount of health, where all other allies get a nice amount of healing as well, and that's just what makes the Druid really good. Then the final class of A tier is Rainbird. Rainbird. It deals, like Lightning Bird, a small, negligible amount of damage, but what's really important is that his damage over time applies to every enemy on the field. Furthermore, he is able to heal everyone on the team, as well as cleansing negative effects from the ally he chooses, making him a really good support and a really good attacker. Finally, it is the S tier. I'm gonna start off with one of, if not the best class in the game, Treasure Hunters. Listen, Treasure Hunter is so unanimously viable because he can potentially solo bosses on his own, and it's because of his main attack that has a 65% chance to reset the target's charge counter by 1, meaning he can literally stall an enemy into doing absolutely nothing for a good while. His support is also fine, though it's kinda gimmicky. It can be used effectively well. Moving on to, in my opinion, the best red class in the game, and the best class in the game maybe overall. It's Guardian. Guardian can lower the attack power of an enemy by 25%, whilst also setting up a shield for all allies that lasts 4 turns for 25%. That is crazy, and he's no slacker in dealing damage as well. He is quite literally the definition of a better knight. Finally, the final class. It's Samurai. No one is surprised. It's an offensive and defensive beast. He can deal 150% damage, but his 3 times 50% allows for a higher probability of crits and can bypass certain passives like Prince Porky's dodge. Moreover, his ability can apply a 50% shield to a target and 40% to everyone else. Ergo, it only lasts 1 turn, but it's massive against enemies that charge up to deal damage. And that's it. That's my entire list on every class in Angry Birds Epic. If you disagree, you can state your opinion in the comments and maybe I'll respond to you. We can argue if it's a really bad opinion, like Avengers is actually average. It's not, it's bad. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like the video. I'll be uploading more videos in the future, so any support is appreciated.